LPES, good morning and happy Friday feeling. Today's Friday feeling is going to be a little different than what we typically do because, not that we always do the same thing on here, but because we're actually going to be throwing it back. This is like a throwback Friday or like a fallback Friday. And we're going to be looking at an old Friday feeling from 2 years ago almost. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. But before we do that, I have a couple of announcements to make. I have a couple of things that we need to do before we get into the rest of our Friday feeling lesson this morning. So first things first, I have an exciting announcement to make. It's almost like two exciting announcements. Do you remember last year, if you were in kindergarten or you weren't at our school last year, you won't remember, but that's okay. If you were here last year, you might remember that I had a special helper with me from January through May. Her name was Miss Nazaro, or some of you called her Miss N. Now, unfortunately, Miss N isn't coming back to our school. She is a school counselor at another school, just like Lincoln Park, so she gets to work with kids just like you, doing things just like me at another school. So we're really happy and excited for Miss Nazaro. But we do have two other special visitors coming to join our school this spring. So we have Mrs. Susperich, or Mrs. S, who's going to be starting next week. So a lot of you are going to see her on Wednesday next week. I'll be making sure we're in the cafeteria. We're walking around the hallways. We're there when you come in the door and there when you leave at the end of the day. So you'll get to see her and meet her. She's going to be here Mondays and Wednesdays for the next 5 months from January through May. And then on Tuesdays, we are going to have another special visitor, Miss Lorena, or Miss L. So we have two very special guests here at LPES who are going to be learning to do what I do as a school counselor. So it's almost like we have 3 school counselors for the spring. Now, of course, in May, they go back to their school. They finish up their degree because they're in college right now learning how to become a school counselor. So they won't be with us forever, but it is really exciting to have them here for the next couple of months. And I'm sure you're going to see them in the classrooms, in your hallways. Some of you might meet with them in here, and you will also see them on Friday Feelings. So I have to say, LPES, one of the coolest things about last year, about having Miss Nazaro with us, was getting to see all of you be so welcoming. It was unbelievable, and it really warmed my heart to see what a great community we can be and how nice our students can be with welcoming a new person into our school, especially someone who's learning how to do something, someone who's still figuring out what our school is like and what your names are and what our schedules are like. So I am really excited because we'll have those 2 new people, Mrs. S and Miss L, coming to start next week. Next week, Mrs. S starts. The following week, Miss L will start. And don't worry, you don't have to remember the days, but Mrs. S will be here Mondays and Wednesdays, and on Tuesdays we'll have Miss L. So teachers, if you see me walking around the hallways with a friend, it is one of our school counseling interns who will be here from January through May. So really excited about that. I can't wait for you to meet them. I'm sure they're going to be wonderful, and I'm sure they're really excited to meet all 500 of you guys too. Okay, last week we did one of our mindful morning cards, but Mrs. Heffler ran out of time. It was a long Friday feeling last week with the book that we were doing. And so today we're going to start with the card that I read last week, and then we'll draw a new one for today. Now, you might also notice something behind me that you're probably a little curious about. And we're going to get to that wheel at the end of our Friday feeling today. This wheel activity was actually an idea from one of our climate committee students. So thank you to Anna, who came up with this idea that we're going to be using later on. I can't wait to tell you about it. All right, for right now, we have do a body scan check-in to see how each part of your body feels. So this isn't going to take too long. I want you just to sit up in your chair. Ooh, I have a lot of energy this morning, so I need to take a few deep breaths to kind of calm myself down. Why don't we do that together? Take a nice deep breath in and breathe out. In fact, do what I'm doing right now. Take one hand or 2 hands, place them over your heart, almost like we do in the pledge. But what we're doing is we're trying to pay attention to our heartbeat, feeling our body calm down. Do one more of those with me right now. Breathe in and out. Okay. I'm going to invite you to take one more deep breath, and as you release this one, you can close your eyes if you'd like. If not, as always, find a point to focus on so we're not looking around the room getting distracted. Take a big deep breath in. You can close your eyes if you feel comfortable. And starting at the top of our head, pay attention to what we're feeling, almost like we have an x-ray going down our body or a laser beam going down our body. So feeling the top of your head, our eyes, our face, our nose, our neck. Noticing if anything's uncomfortable, if anything's feeling tight, if anything's feeling really relaxed. Does our body feel really light, or does it feel a little bit more tired and heavy today? Keep breathing. Imagining that light going down our arms, checking in with each of those muscles. How do they feel? Our upper arms, our lower arms, our triceps, our hands. How do all of those feel as we go down? Going back to our shoulders and down our torso. So starting at our shoulders, paying attention to our back, scanning down our back. How does it feel? Are there any tight spots? Any uncomfortableness? Going through our belly, down into our waist and our hips. Reaching our legs, taking a deep breath as we're doing all of this. Paying attention to our legs. Did you work out yesterday? Did you run yesterday? Did you have gym? Did you play a sport yesterday? Are your muscles tired? Maybe you got good sleep. Maybe your muscles are feeling nice and awake and relaxed. Going down our legs, down past our knees, down the bottom part of our legs, our calves, into our ankles, finally to our feet and our toes. That, my friends, is a body scan. Let's take one more deep breath. If you haven't done so already, you can go ahead and open your eyes. This is a nice, quick technique that helps our brain to focus on one single thought instead of bouncing around thinking of all those things. If you remember, a few weeks ago, we did that lesson with our ping pong balls where they scattered all over the gym like our thoughts do, entering our brain quickly and getting us distracted. So this exercise helps us to kind of settle in and just focus on one thing. Even if our brain tries to go elsewhere, we kind of bring it back to just scanning through our body, seeing how we're feeling. I'm going to pull a new mindfulness morning card, but this body scan kind of ties into our Fallback Friday episode today, and you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. Okay. Oops, my cards are going flying. Things are falling. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's see if we can pick a brand new card today. Brand new card is leave a positive message for someone else to find. So a nice little thing that we can try and do today, leaving a positive message for someone. It could be a classmate, a teacher, a friend, a family member, a bus driver, a lunch aide, anybody. You can leave a positive note for someone. It doesn't have to be long. Could simply be on a Post-it, a little jot down of, something nice for them, a smiley face, a heart, whatever you'd like it to be. But I love that. So leaving a special note for someone. Okay, as I was saying a minute ago, we are doing a Friday feeling fallback today. And so we're going to shoot it back to Mrs. Heffler from 2 years ago. And she's going to be talking you through 2 different exercises. In one, she uses a tennis ball, but it's similar to the one that we did with those ping pong balls. In fact, let me get them real quick. So if you recall, the other week, we had this bag full of ping pong balls. I let them out all over the gym. They were showing how our thoughts bounce around. Many, many thoughts try and enter our head at the same time or throughout the day. And sometimes practicing mindfulness can help us to drop into just one single thing, focusing on our breath, focusing on our body, doing a body scan. So she's going to talk a little bit more about that. And then the other one is one of my favorite things that we've done on Friday Feeling. I'm not going to spoil this one. I'm just going to let you watch and see what it is. And I'll be back at the end to tell you what that is all about. I thought that this week would be a good week to reflect on 2 things that we've really been talking a lot about, as well as doing some mindfulness activities. So we are going to do some mindfulness activities, but I also want to review 2 concepts that we've talked about this year that I think when talking to all of you at school seem to be the ones that stick out or the ones that really help you understand why we do Friday Feelings, why we do mindfulness-based practices, why we try to be more mindful. So the first one that I wanted to bring back to you is my tennis ball here. So if I take this tennis ball, and I kind of want to do it here. I just don't know if you'll be able to see. But if I took this tennis ball and I threw it as hard as I could, it's going to bounce all over this room, right? Bounce all over the classroom, especially if it was a bouncy ball. Tennis ball might not be as much. It's a little bit more controlled, but a bouncy ball, those tiny little rubber ones, if I threw that hard, that thing's going to fly. It's going to go boop, 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 boom, all over the place. And our brains are just like those bouncy balls. Our brains want to think about a million different things all at the same time. And the second that we try to be mindful, the second that we try to kind of quiet our brain, a lot of those thoughts come rushing back in. And that's okay. It's completely normal. It's completely normal for our brain to want to think about something that already happened, or something that we're looking forward to this weekend, or something that we're nervous about later today. And when we're being mindful, when we're focusing on deep breathing, when we're focusing on how our body feels in the moment, what we're doing is we're tuning into that moment. We're tuning into that sensation. And we're taking that bouncy ball of a brain and we're dropping in. Kind of dropping into our body. We're dropping into our mind and how we're feeling. And when we do that, we're able to, at least for a moment, quiet down all the other noise that's going on outside. And I don't mean actual noise. I mean the noise that's going on up here in our mind. And when we do that, it makes it hard for us to focus on things like feeling nervous, feeling worried, feeling angry. It helps us to focus on the here and now, the present moment. So what I want us to do to start today is I just want us to sit up in our chairs for a moment. And that bouncy ball mind is going to be going all over the place. And what we're going to do is we are just going to drop in and really feel our breath, really focus on that. Okay, so I have my bouncy ball, my tennis ball here. And we're just going to take a nice big deep breath together. You're going to feel what that feels like to kind of connect with that breath. Okay, let's do that again. Nice big deep breath in. And feel what that feels like to just drop into our bodies. Pay attention to what you feel. Do you feel the weight of yourself on your chair or on the floor, wherever you're sitting, on your couch at home? Do you feel the air on your skin? Do you feel your clothes? Do you feel your breath as you breathe in? Notice where you're feeling that breath. Do you feel it in your nose, in your throat, in your chest, in your stomach, your shoulders, back, wherever it might be? Do that with me one more time. A big deep breath in. And just pay attention to where that breath is. Okay, so that was our bouncy ball exercise. And then the other one that I wanted to remind you about today is our balloon here. Do you remember what we filled this balloon with last time? It wasn't water. We didn't make a water balloon. It wasn't something gross like, I don't know, Jell-O, something messy. What we did is we filled it with our worries, or we filled it with things that make us feel stressed or make us feel angry. And if you recall, what we did last time is we started talking about the things that can upset us. So let's say you wake up this morning and you are really tired and mom and dad make you wake up because you have to come to school. Automatically, maybe right away, you're like, I am in a bad mood. I just want to stay in bed. So our balloon already has a bit of air, a bit of frustration or anger or whatever uncomfortable feeling it might be. Let's say you come to school and you forgot to charge your computer and your computer is on like 0% battery and you're not feeling ready for the day. Maybe adding some more stress. Let's say as your day continues, you find out you have a math test you totally forgot about. Okay. I promise I'm not going to let this pop. I hate balloons popping, and so I'm not going to let it get big enough where it's going to pop. So don't worry about that, okay? As your day continues, maybe you end up getting into a bit of a fight with a friend, or you go home and you have an argument with your brother or sister. All right. If I continued to blow into this balloon, it's really full right now. If I continue to blow into this balloon, what is going to happen? It's going to pop, right? It's going to explode all over the place. And that's what happens with us too. When we add on stress or things that make us upset or things that make us feel angry every day, or when we add them on throughout our day without releasing them at all, without kind of using a coping skill to feel a bit better, then we end up like this balloon, stretched, ready to explode, and under a lot of pressure. But by doing something like focusing on our breath, that was gross. Okay. By doing something like focusing on our breath, we release some of that stress. By doing something like checking in with our senses, our 5 senses, something we see, something we hear, something we see, I already said see, feel, taste, touch, we let a little bit more of that air out. I know it's sounding really funny right now, but we let a little bit more of that air out, and suddenly it's a lot more manageable. This balloon is not nearly as stretched. It's not nearly as tight. It doesn't feel like it's going to explode. And so if something else happens that adds a bit more stress, we have the space for it. We have the ability to deal with it because we already did something to let some of that other anger, frustration, big uncomfortable emotions, we let them go. So by doing that and getting in the practice of doing that, we are making it so that our balloon can deflate and inflate again every day. We're making it so that we are going to face tough things, and that's okay because we're ready for it. Okay? It is impossible. I wish I could, but it is impossible for me to wave a magic wand and say, okay, none of our students at LPS, none of our teachers, none of our parents are going to feel stressed anymore. I wish I could do that for each and every one of you. For myself, too. But it's just not possible. Life sometimes can be challenging. What happens is when we're able to use coping skills to help us feel a bit better, then our balloon might not get as stretched, might not get as full, and then the risk of it exploding, the risk of us going pop and losing control is a little bit less. Okay? For those of you who are wondering, the room that I was in that video was actually Miss Prinzo's room, room 30, which used to be my office for a very short period of time when we were kind of in that weird place of some of you were in school, some of you were at home. It was a weird time, and I was in Miss Prinzo's room. So if you were curious, that's where I was. Okay, are you ready? So we have this wheel, which some of you might recognize from years ago. We used to use it in the cafeteria and a few other places of our school. And Anna in 4th grade came up with a great idea for us to wrap up our Friday feelings. For the next couple of weeks, we'll be doing this. On this wheel are kindness challenges. And so I'm going to spin the wheel every week. We're going to come up with a new kindness challenge. You're going to see if you're able to complete that challenge by the next Friday feeling. So let's get it going. Here we go. Oh, hold on. Let's see. So this one says, go out of your way to thank someone. What does that mean? It means we're not just saying thank you to someone who picks up a pencil for us or holds the door for us. It means we are specifically going out of our way and saying something, thank you to someone who we might not normally say it to. Maybe it's going to be one of the lunch aides in the cafeteria. Maybe it's going to be your bus driver who drives you to and from school every day. Maybe it's going to be the cashier at the supermarket who checks you out as you and your parents are paying. Maybe it's going to be someone else entirely. One of our crossing guards, it could be. The person who rings up your books at the library. It can be anywhere. It doesn't have to be in school, but I want to challenge you to go out of your way to thank that person for the work that they're doing, for the job that they're doing. Okay, so that's your special kindness challenge this week. We'll spin the wheel again next week to see what's up next. Whew. And as always, LPES, even if it's not on the wheel, my challenge to each and every one of you is to stay kind. I'll see you soon, LPES.